Hi everyone, and welcome back to Surviving the Love Bomb. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. My name's Emma Carrington and I'm trained as a community services worker. I'm also a victim survivor of domestic abuse. So our disclaimer is that I'm not a psychologist or a counsellor. The aim of this channel is to share all that I've learned on my journey through my abusive marriage and coming out the other side on my way to healing. So first things first, I am going to straight up apologize for everything today. I'm sorry for the locale. I'm sorry for the audio. I'm probably even sorry for the editing. We're currently away because we're finally out of lockdown and it's school holidays. So we packed up and came to see my dad before my little one goes back to school. So sorry, but I'm here, which is more than I can say for my last podcast episode. That just didn't happen. So if you're waiting on a Trapped by Love ep, again, with the fingers crossed, it will hopefully be up on Friday as scheduled. So I do have to say a big thank you to my little girl because she set up our backdrop today. She did such a great job, and as you can see, we're sort of just in between the two beds of our room at Poppy's house. So again, sorry. So with all that out of the way, today I thought we could have a talk about red flags. In the wake of the Gabby Petito case that is unfolding now, I wish that she'd understood these indications and seen her relationship for the abusive situation that it was. Unfortunately, this education didn't reach her in time, but my hope is that it can help others in similar situations recognize the signs and get help before it's too late. Okay, so people talk a lot about red flags in relationships, but what does that term mean exactly? Throughout all contexts, the term red flag signifies a reason to stop. In relationships, red flags are signs that the person probably can't have a healthy relationship and proceeding down the road together would be emotionally dangerous. Red flags in relationships might not be obvious. While some are very clear, many might present more as a clue or a hint that there's an underlying problem. Also, it can take some time for a red flag to present itself in a relationship, but knowing yourself and trusting your instincts in the early days can prevent a lot of heartache and emotional damage down the track. It's essential to get to know yourself in every way possible before moving into a committed relationship. How can you ever hope to know or love another individual if you don't know yourself first? How can you address another's needs and desires if you're disconnected from your own? Also, when starting a new relationship, learn to ask the hard questions of yourself right out of the gate. The first or second time you meet someone, before your opinions are solidly formed or you've invested too much time and emotion into the relationship. It's easy to get swept up in the new relationship, but sometimes once you enter into an abusive relationship, it's really hard to get out. So don't ignore those early warning signs. All right then. Let's chat about some of the more concerning red flags. So this new partner can't stop telling you how perfect you are. Now, I know that sounds irresistible at first. That sounds great, but there's nothing more infuriating than being put on a pedestal by a partner. This person doesn't really see you as you are. You're a projection of some perfect idea they have in their head, and you can't rest on a pedestal forever. Your partner's opinion will invariably turn, whether it's just eventually they work out that you are in fact a flawed human, just like everyone else, and this leaves them feeling duped, even though you weren't the one to say that you're perfect, or it could be more calculated and they're building you up so they can systematically tear you back down as the relationship progresses, allowing them to destroy your self-esteem and ultimately control you. They may push your physical boundaries in innocent ways. So things like not stopping tickling you when you ask them to, or do they continue to touch you in a seemingly innocent way, like hugs or shoulder rubs, or even repeatedly poking you in the arm like a sibling used to do when you've already asked for personal space. This might be a sign that they don't respect your right to your own body and could try to push those boundaries to much more dangerous limits in the future. If this happens over and over, it would be wise to have a serious conversation about it and express your need to have your personal boundaries respected. And if they persist in overstepping, then they're showing you that they won't respect your requests or boundaries. Believe them when they show you the things about themselves that are the truth. This is not behavior that will change. If they feel entitled to you and to be within your personal space in the beginning, this isn't going to change in the future. If anything, it'll only get worse. You're being rushed into a new relationship. Moving too fast is a huge red flag. We've discussed this before. You can't know someone within weeks or even months of dating them. If a person wants to move in or have you move into their home in the very early stages of a relationship, be really wary. They're very likely trying to lock you into a relationship before you can see them for who they really are. They don't want to lose you when the mask slips, and you're less likely to pack up and leave if you're in a committed relationship or living together. At least that's the way they see it. Next red flag would be that they try to drive a wedge between you and your family and friends. Anyone who wants you all to themselves is likely someone worth running far, far away from before they sink their claws in any deeper. Possessiveness really ranges on a spectrum from normal to unhealthy. A little jealousy now and again isn't the end of the world, but if their possessiveness towards you is connected with anger or hostility, threats or rage, that is definitely a red flag, especially if it gets worse over time. Someone attempting to control you or isolate you from your friends or family is definitely not okay. Anyone who makes constant demands to keep you from your friends and family is a huge cause for concern. It might start little by little. For example, your partner might say, "Why don't you stay home tonight? I'm going to miss you so much. I want you near me," at first. And you may feel flattered and think, "Oh, they love me so much. They just want to be with me all the time." But don't be fooled. They may be jealous of your ongoing relationships with the people that you're going to see, or simply feel that they need to control where you go and who you associate with, limiting your world to allowing only what's important to them. Sometimes they may make you choose between significant others as an expression of love. If your partner wants to keep you all to themselves, run. This is how domestic abuse situations begin. A partner starts alienating you from the people closest to you, and eventually you feel like you have no one other than them. And that's exactly the way they want it. Isolation of any kind is not flattering. It's dangerous. This clingy behavior, making a fuss anytime you want to go out, or calling or texting incessantly while you are out without them, these are the beginning stages of coercive control. Eventually, you will stop making those plans or going to see those people because it's not worth the anxiety or the fight. Also, take note if significant family and friends don't like your partner. If there's something off about this person that seems obvious to those who know you so well, you may need to listen to what they're telling you. Often in the throes of a new relationship, hearing criticism about your new love may not be welcome, but others may see things more clearly from the outside perspective. At the very least, hear these people out with an open mind. Another major reason your partner may want to spend all their time with you, it could be that they have no friends of their own. And this could be a sign of narcissistic personality or just an inability to connect in a healthy way with others. So if you find that you and your partner are only seeing each other and nobody else, it could be a sign of controlling behavior or an unhealthy codependency. We all need external influences and support in our lives. So if you're only talking to your partner, that sense of isolation from others and over-dependence on each other can be really toxic in a relationship. And it can leave you feeling vulnerable if there are issues you notice in the relationship. If you feel that you can't confide in friends and family about your problems in your relationship, or you filter what you say to them, this may be a consequence of being manipulated or controlled by your partner. If you're hiding things from those who love you in order to save face for your partner, there's a problem. When each party has their own sense of self, it can enrich your individual lives and your bond. If someone relies on you entirely and always for their sense of happiness and entertainment, that can lead to feelings of suffocation, resentment, and unhappiness. Another red flag, they describe all their exes as crazy. Talking about old flames is common, especially when you first start to date someone new. And yes, some relationship ends so badly that we are still sour at our ex 2 years down the track. But it's wise to pay attention to the language your partner uses when discussing those that they've dated in the past. If your new partner spews vitriol at any and all of their crazy ex-lovers every chance they get and doesn't take any responsibility, as well as demonstrating a lack of respect for the people that they once cared for and loved, it's a good clue that they are probably the problem. There's also a good chance that you could be their next crazy ex. The next red flag, they call you names in arguments. Fights happen, but be wary of anyone who seems to flip a switch and transform into an unrecognizable monster when you disagree, calling you names or putting you down. It can be a sign of disrespect and just terrible conflict resolution skills, which does not a happy couple make. If your partner undermines you and puts you down, this can take a toll on your self-esteem, and it's definitely not a sign of a healthy relationship. If they don't respect you, it should be an absolute deal breaker. You might find that your partner is constantly blaming you for things or keeping a record of things that you've done wrong. This might be used as a form of manipulation, or to make you feel guilty, or as a way to control you. Disrespectful behavior may also take the form of making major decisions without consulting you, embarrassing you in front of others. It could also look like them looking at, making inappropriate comments about, or flirting with other women or men while they're in your presence. It may be that you have a partner who doesn't prioritize you and refuses to spend time with your family. These are all signs of disrespect. They may dismiss what you say as stupid or insignificant, or put down your work, telling you that you'll never make it or you can't do what you're setting out to achieve. See Gabby Petito's police body cam footage. She says Brian doesn't think she can do it while she was working on her website. This clearly upsets her, and so it should. Just a side note, my personal opinion, he was upset that she was actually doing so well with it, and he and his melon obsession wasn't getting the same sort of attention. But that's just my 2 cents on that. So no relationship is perfect, but don't allow yourself to be mistreated or taken for granted or diminished in any way. Healthy relationships are all about establishing and respecting one another's boundaries, and a partner who repeatedly ignores or tramples all over your boundaries clearly doesn't respect you. Next red flag, their attitude changes in an instant. Do they spend an entire day being cruel to you and nearly pushing you to your emotional limit, then abruptly turn on the charm with zero explanation or apology, only to switch back into monster mode as soon as you start to trust their good mood? This is a cycle to bolt away from immediately. This person can go from loving to hateful in a moment, or vice versa. They can behave in a cruel way, leaving you to feel lost, scared, and trapped. And then suddenly, they turn into this loving and charming prince. There's no way to know when and how long each cycle will last, and this can also come in the form of the overnight reset. You may have been fighting all day long and even well into the night, and then after they sleep, your partner awakes a completely different person. Meanwhile, you're still reeling from the day before. They've put it behind them, and without any acknowledgement, let alone apology, they're moving on with their day. If you see this red flag waving, run, hide, don't look back. The next one is jealousy, distrust. If your partner demands access to your emails, messages, or social media, this is an issue. Communicating with people outside your relationship without someone breathing over your shoulder is a basic right. You are 100% entitled to autonomy and privacy. For starters, why would you want to date someone you don't trust? Why is this person with you? And what does it say about whatever untrustworthy habits they might be projecting onto you? Often the red flag of a very insecure partner can look like attentiveness at the start of a relationship, but there's an underlying control problem beneath all that attention. Later in the relationship, it's easy to look back and reinterpret that constant attention as the insecurity that it is and their need for control. Hindsight is 20/20, but knowing the red flags can help you to see these things for what they are a little clearer. Bottom line, if you feel like your partner is constantly monitoring you and questioning you, you might want to look a little closer at the dynamics of your relationship, because these things can leave you feeling restricted and suffocated, which is no way to live. Next, they're incapable of apologizing. No one is right or wrong all of the time. If the person can't own their behavior or their part in a disagreement in the early days, it's unlikely they ever will. And you will wind up feeling like every negative thing that happens within the relationship is your fault. This is a manipulation tactic because, as I said before, no one is right or wrong 100% of the time. If your partner makes you feel that you are wrong and to blame for everything, this is a huge red flag. It's the beginning of gaslighting and will lead to you walking on eggshells in an attempt to get something right. These people will guilt trip you every chance they get. Some people have an uncanny talent for making their partner feel personally responsible and guilty for all their misfortunes. These are not people you want to be in a relationship with. Trust me, it's not good for your mental health. Constant fighting. Big red flag. No relationship is perfect, but ultimately a healthy relationship should add to your happiness, not take away from it. Constant fighting over little things that are just insignificant, especially if you're newly dating, is a red flag. If someone is very quick to anger, has frequent explosive outbursts, or switches emotions quickly, this shows a lack of ability to regulate emotions in a healthy way and is ultimately just unpleasant and even frightening to be around. This type of dysregulation can lead to physical abuse. Any kind of physical abuse should be taken very seriously. If you feel physically scared by how the person behaves, or if they've ever behaved in ways that are physically abusive or threatening, that's it. It's time to walk away. It will only escalate. Things don't get better. A violent display towards you, loved ones, strangers, and even animals is a serious red flag. And the first violent display will always be just that. The first, not the only. Next, gaslighting. And I know we've been over this before, but gaslighting, verbal abuse and or emotional abuse is horrible. And gaslighting is a type of emotional abuse and manipulation that's used to maintain control over another person and involves actively denying that person's reality. For the person on the receiving end being gaslit, can feel extremely disorientating and make them question their own emotions and intuition. Take note if you're upset about something and this person tells you you're being dramatic, because the gaslighter will trivialize and minimize your feelings or make you feel like they don't matter. They'll often accuse you of overreacting, or another common trick in the gaslighter's playbook is forgetting or denying or countering whatever you say. You might mention a specific event to which they might respond, I don't remember that, or you're crazy. That never happened. They'll question your memory, make up new details, or deny something happened at all. When they do this, not only are they not taking accountability, but they're trying to control you and the narrative of your relationship. That leads us into the controlling nature of gaslighters. People who use gaslighting do so as a mechanism for control. A partner who is controlling in any way likely has deep personal issues that they really should work on. And it's definitely time to rethink your relationship if your partner tries to control who you see, who you talk to, where you go, how you spend your money, what you do online, what your body looks like, what you eat, or even what you wear, because this person is very likely a master manipulator, and you will lose more and more control over your own life as the days go by. If you continue a relationship with this person, you may come to feel fear and obligation or guilt, and these people will use many ways of manipulating you to get what they want. This will leave you feeling powerless and disorientated. People who are gaslighted literally start to distrust themselves and start to question what they remember, what they said or did. Living with this type of individual is like living in a kind of mental hell. Watch out for that red flag and get away as fast as possible. Everyone is guilty of manipulation at one point or another. Mostly it's harmless, but the master manipulator is one to be avoided at all cost. One of their most effective tools is the use of fear. They will threaten you or use violence as a means to achieve their goals. Over time, all they need is a menacing tone and intimidating body language to get you to comply with their demands. This manipulation leads to coercive control, meaning that the person being manipulated regulates their own behavior to avoid getting in trouble. Another powerful tool in the manipulator's tool belt is the silent treatment if you don't do what they want. They'll just simply simply stop talking to you, act as though you don't exist. This is one of the most painful types of punishment. Next red flag is you feeling constantly unhappy. It might seem obvious, but if you're feeling unhappy most of the time in your relationship, it's probably a sign that something is wrong. The initial signs that a relationship isn't right can be quite subtle, but if you have a niggling feeling that you just aren't ever happy and there's no joy in your relationship between you and your partner, then it might not be the right relationship for you. These people can sometimes even go as far as to deliberately make you feel less than. Get clear on how this person really truly makes you feel inside. Are they demeaning and talking down to you, or do they lift you up? If you're noticing that your self-esteem is lower than usual, it might be difficult to pinpoint exactly why that is. However, if your partner isn't giving you the appreciation you deserve, then it might be subtly having an impact on your self-esteem. When your partner doesn't reflect your value back to you, it can be hard to see it in yourself. And if they're damaging to your self-esteem, then it's a sign of toxic behavior. Remember the old joke? If you're crying all the time, you're not dating a man, you're dating an onion. That's quite fitting here. Don't settle for less than someone who builds you up and adds to your life. This list of red flags isn't exhaustive. There are plenty of others. Ultimately, it comes down to you trusting your gut and walking away from a partner who demonstrates one or more cautionary signs. This goes back to knowing yourself and what you will and won't tolerate in a relationship. If your partner shows no signs of self-correction, then it's probably best to walk away sooner than later. If you ever struggle with knowing what to do, speaking with a therapist can help. Knowing what boundaries are important to you and being able to enforce them goes a long way to helping keep people who would take advantage or abuse you at bay. So if you're interested in my boundaries course, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. And if anything I've discussed today has given you cause for concern about your own situation, please reach out for help. As always, if there's any way I can be of assistance in finding local resources for you, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is in the description box below. Or come over and join our private support group, Surviving the Love Bomb, on Facebook. If you're finding this content valuable, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I upload every Tuesday. Fingers crossed. I've also started a true crime podcast and YouTube channel, Trapped by Love. So if you are interested in true crime, come over and check it out. I upload on Friday, apart from last Friday, to anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and also to YouTube. There will be a link in the description box below for that also. Until next time, take care of yourselves and be kind to one another.